What's up? Daniel's son. I'm back. A lot of people don't know this. I was gone for 4 days. Do you know where I went? I went to France, Paris. Actually, it was right outside of Paris. Um, I was in a little neighborhood right outside of Paris. Um, the name of this neighborhood right outside of Paris, France, was called, it had two different names. One name, they call it L'Odyssée, and the other name they call this little neighborhood is Little Japan. I hung out there with the mayor of the neighborhood. Technically, he's not really a mayor, but he's in charge of the entire neighborhood. His name is Issey Miyake. I got to know him really well the last 4 days, and we hung out in this neighborhood together. Let me tell you about the neighborhood. The very, very entrance to the neighborhood, there's this big, tall statue. Big, tall statue. Um, I thought it was beautiful. This statue is part of it's made out of glass, and it's shaped really unusual, very weird, but it's very beautiful. The base is really super thick, and as you're going towards the top of the statue, it gets more narrow. But I think it's a really, really cool statue. As a matter of fact, this statue um, has the name of the mayor, Issey Miyake, and the name of the neighborhood, Lodise, or Little Japan. And it also has two things to let people know when they're walking into this neighborhood what this neighborhood is about. It's for men only, and it has a warning, another warning that says intense, I guess to let people know that this neighborhood is very intense. I didn't particularly think it was real intense myself, but I guess a lot of people do. So they put intense on the statue to let you know. But every day for 4 days, I would hang out at this little cafe with the mayor, Issey Miyake, and we hung out pretty much most of the day, or at least for like um, 6, 7 hours a day usually. And I noticed three things about this neighborhood. There's three gangs in this neighborhood. Um, the first gang I want to talk about, they always showed up first in the morning. They're they called themselves the Citruses, and there's four gang members. They call themselves, I guess they're all nicknames. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they're real names. I'm not sure. But the gang members' names are Tangerine, Bergamot, and Mandarin. The leader of this gang, his name is Yuzu. You can tell like he's the strongest, like alpha male in this group. He was very strong. You could tell he was the leader. I liked them a lot. They would come and hang out for about 25, 30 minutes, something like that. And then the second gang always come up about 25, 30 minutes after the Citruses did. The second gang, they call themselves the Spicy Herbs. Um, their names are Lotus, cardamom, cinnamon, nutmeg, and the leader of this gang, his name is Saffron. He was big and strong. He was the leader of this group, you could tell. Nutmeg, didn't really say anything. Lotus, you could tell he was there, but he was just like, I don't want to be here. I just want to let go. But Saffron was the leader. He was the strongest. Cardamom and Cinnamon, um, they were very active in the gang. I could tell. I think they were from India, maybe. I think. but I liked them also. They worked really well together. But they would hang out for about 4 hours, and then just like every single day, just like clockwork, the third gang would come up and run the spicy herbs off. The third gang, they called themselves the Smoky Woody Earthers. It sounds like hippies. God, I hate hippies. But the name of the gang members, they're called, one was called Incense, the other was Benzoin, one was called Papyrus. The leader of this gang, his name is Amber, but he's actually just the acting leader. The true leader was, I think, just sort of off watching them a little bit. Um, but Benzoin was there. He didn't really do that much. Incense, he was smoking all the time. I mean, just like chain smoking like crazy. Papyrus, I think the name of the group, the Earthers part, I think they named the group after him, um, after Papyrus, because he seemed to be like the real hippie. He was very earthy. And the Woody part, the name of the group, Woody. I think they named them just for the group in general because they just seem like a witty group. Um, but they would hang out for a few hours. But Amber wasn't the true leader of the group. The true leader of the group was sort of like a few feet away, but he was extremely present. Um, his name is Sweetie Clean Musk. Sweetie Clean Musk. Um, he seemed to be like a really sweet guy. Um, he wasn't like an animal or anything, but you could tell that he liked deer. But he was very, very clean, very sweet guy. Um, but you could tell he was the leader of the group. I think his brother helps him with the group a lot. His brother's name is Ambroxon. I think they work together. They're very similar, even though um, you didn't see them. They were very present in the group. I think they were the true leaders of the group, Ambroxon and Sweetie Clean Musk. But I had a great time. I had a great time visiting this neighborhood the last 4 days. Everything was like almost perfect. You could tell that each gang worked well together. Um, they all seemed to be really cool. There's only two things that I did not like about my visit. The first thing that I didn't like about my visit is um, the gangs didn't hang out long enough. They didn't hang out all day. Like the Citruses, the first gang, they only hung out for like maybe 30 minutes. And then the second gang, they would hang out for like, maybe 4 hours, three and a half, 4 hours. And then the third gang would hang out for like, maybe a couple of hours. So I only got to enjoy seeing all the gangs for maybe like six and a half, 6.5 hours total each day that I got to enjoy watching the gangs. I wish they would have hung out, each one of them, at least an hour longer. That would have made my trip more enjoyable. And the other thing that I didn't like about my visit to this neighborhood is um, the first gang, the Citruses, there was one member, probably Mandarin, that wore polyester, which is a synthetic material. I don't really particularly care for anybody wearing polyester, myself. And there was a gang member in the second gang. Um, probably probably nutmeg. He wore polyester too. All the other members of the first and second gang wore like cotton, so they were okay. So it wasn't that big a deal. The third gang, the Smoky Woody Earthers, didn't believe in polyester whatsoever. They wore all natural cotton t-shirts. They were really good. So those are the only two things that I did not like about my visit there was the gangs didn't hang out long enough, and one member in the first gang and one member in the second gang wore polyester, which I didn't really particularly care for. But I had an excellent time. Really cool neighborhood, really cool statue. I really, really liked hanging out with the mayor of Little Japan, Issey, or I call him Is, sort of my nickname for him. I got to know him really well the last 4 days, so I call him Is for short. But I had an excellent time. I really did. Everything was almost perfect. Um, if I had to rate my visit in this town or this neighborhood, I would probably give it a, I don't know, seven, maybe 7.5. But if you're interested visiting this neighborhood, I would highly recommend it. I really would. As a matter of fact, even if it's just for a day, I recommend you going. Anyway, information will be in the description on how you can get to this town. I'll give you directions and everything. So anyway, that is it for my travel experience. So I will see you later with something else.